All right, greetings. So I don't normally do this, but I was talking to a friend Andrew about kind of our studio layouts and different ways to kind of streamline audio and MIDI and everything else, and kind of it evolved into just kind of a discussion of what our individual approaches are. So yeah, I thought I would shoot a video and post it on my channel. First of all, yeah, I definitely kind of abhor this sort of thing, but I thought it would be helpful specifically for him. Um, and other than that, I just have not been very active on my channel for the past couple years. Mostly, I mean, for a lot of reasons, but between personal life, work, and just switching to other platforms, YouTube hasn't been a real much of a focus. Although that may change in the future. So, anyways, I thought I would post this on my channel just as a way of kind of a streamlined way of showing Andrew what I'm doing. It's also just a terrible time for me to be doing it because I'm going through a little bit of turnover in my studio and just kind of rearranging things. But I thought it would be helpful nonetheless. So first, I just kind of wanted to pan around the studio. And okay, so coming into the studio, this is my desk right here. I have a little Buchla set up here. And then most of my other synthesizers are over here. And next to it, I had a little table here with modular synthesizers, including this stuff, and my Surge over here. But I'm in the process. I'm waiting for some Jaspers to come in, and I'll be kind of putting all this stuff onto Jasper stands. Over here, I have my Rhodes and my guitar stuff, and it's very much a work in progress over here. But I'll be setting up the Rhodes with a twin reverb back there. And then I have my monitors right here, which is not an ideal place for them. It's just where I could fit them and still get behind everything. But those will be going on to stands with the Jaspers. This whole area is just a mess. It's like just kind of spillover stuff right now as I get reorganized, and eventually I'll clean it up and use it for kind of storing maybe equipment that I'm not using. I have some shelves. And this rack that's not being used, I'll push it into the corner, and I got a few other things to help with that. And I have some closet space here. So coming around the desk here. In this corner of the studio is I have a set of electronic drums, and this is kind of my DIY corner. I had done kind of a Studio B over here in the past, and really it just felt too disjointed. I had all my modular stuff here, and it was not helpful to me at all in terms of workflow. And even though MIDI and audio and everything was freely running back and forth, I just didn't feel like it was productive. And so I've tried to kind of really focus on the spaceship right here, having it all as a central hub and things surrounding me in like reasonably an arm's distance. And then in between I have most of my rack stuff here, which is not a lot. I have a little bit more on my desk right here, and I have, I'll show you the audio interface later, but most of my rack stuff is here. And some of this I will be moving because I have rack equipment on the new stands. So I think things like the Axe-Fx and this EFC studio, I'll be moving over there because I think it would be more conducive to have it over nearby the synthesizers. And I'll be honest, the Axe-Fx I've hardly used since I bought it like maybe 6 months ago, just because it's in this corner and it's a little harder to get to. So otherwise my patch bays are here. So I guess that segues into talking about the audio. And so around here I have my audio interface, or I guess interfaces. I have a Goliath and an Orion 32 right under it, expanding it. So I have 64 in and out over Thunderbolt. And so everything in the studio, all this audio is connected. And it runs before it hits the Goliath. It hits these patch bays. And so it goes from there into the Goliath, and I can freely patch things in, like effects as needed. The patch bays, I won't go through all the stuff, but one thing I found like really helpful is these last 16 inputs and outputs on this patch bay are just dedicated to my audio interface, and there's nothing plugged in. So I can always do things like take the outputs of my Tempest, or one normally sits, or like my Rhythm, and I can take the individual outputs and multi-track them if I want, but otherwise I'm not chewing up all these patch bay points with that if I don't need them, or the inputs on my interface. So I think having some flexible outputs, like saying I want to send something from the DAW and run it through the EFC Studio, whatever I want to do, I think having that flexibility was a big increase. It caused a big increase in my productivity and kind of creativity. So I think dedicating some channels on your interface and the patch bay is helpful. And then otherwise, I think I bought the same patch bay to put over there in the new rack, but I'll be moving some of this stuff. But you can see like things like I have all the inputs and outputs of my Octatrack right here. So they're always plugged in, and if I want to sample something into the Octatrack, or if I want to loop it or just kind of process it, I could just plug it in through the patch bay without running around and recabling everything. And then otherwise I have like the rack gear and that sort of stuff. So that's generally how I run the audio. It goes from the device into a patch bay, from the patch bay. So like, let's say the top is bringing in the audio, the bottom, I think that's how the bottom is going to the interface. I might have it backwards, but either way, like this pair is dedicated to a stereo device, and one part is taking the audio from the device, and the other part is sending it to the patch bay. And they're normaled, so that's nice. I don't have to plug them in, but I can disrupt that connection at any time and put something in between it. So again, I think that workflow is really helpful for me. Then otherwise, in terms of MIDI, I use and Andrew, I think you have something like this, but I use a multi-clock, and that sends clock to the Circlone, which I have a Circlone on the floor. That's ridiculous, but it'll be short-lived. So that goes to the Circlone, and then the Circlone sends MIDI, actually mostly through the USB cable here. I have the Demux connected, so that's the other thing. And then there's one more output. Oh, there's an input from my MIDI interface, so I can bring stuff back if I want. But most of the stuff is set up through the USB, and I have two Mio XLs. That's one, and the other one is over here. And so the USB of the Circlone takes up 6 USB ports on this Mio XL, and then this Mio XL is connected to the other one with a few MIDI cables. And if I was smart, I could do the RTP thing, but I haven't gotten there yet. So it's just there. I'm running, basically everything is connected to the Circlone, and without even firing up the DAW, I can be sequencing without any problem. Over here, I guess it's worth mentioning, I guess this is still going to be kind of like a Studio B, but still connected to everything. But when I have it all set up, I'll have all the modular stuff stacked right here on a rack kind of like this. And underneath the rack, I'm going to have a little pull-out like printer table, and I think I saw that you had this, and that's what inspired me. And I'm going to put my mixer there, and I ended up going with the Big 6, which is actually USB-C. It's got, you know, converters, so it'll show up as, I'll probably set up an aggregate device on my computer, so I'll just have more inputs and outputs, and I can multi-track this. But basically, I'll have a few different processing options, and I'll have, you know, have some of the OTO boxes and stuff that'll be set up here. And so, anyways, I'll have audio coming from the patch bay, the other patch bay, bringing it out here, at least 8 channels in and out, if not more, and then here I can flexibly route it as well. I'm not sure where I was going with that, but that is what I'm going to do over here. And I was talking about, So, the that mixer will always be connected to these speakers here, which will be up closer and more appropriately spaced. And so those speakers I can monitor like whatever I want through there. And then otherwise, I do have to fire up the DAW to use my regular monitors here. But or my other option is to just go to the which is like a whole separate topic, but the Antelope launcher, and then there I will tell you the Goliath was really clunky and unreliable at first, but it's discontinued, yet somehow now in its discontinued state it's the most stable it's ever been and the most reliable it's ever been. And I don't want to jinx it, but I didn't have any problems with my new MacBook Pro running the latest operating system, just plugging it in and getting it going, which I was truly dreading. So the Goliath, I find it really helpful. It is beneficial in terms of really flexible routing, and the it's like the launcher, whatever, the controller app is essentially like a mixer with and Patch Bay together. So even again, without a DAW, I could have it set up. I could have all the stuff live if I wanted, but it would create a lot of noise. So I don't mind firing up Ableton and having it ready to go. But if I didn't want to, I could just use this section over here to monitor whatever I'm doing, and monitor it. You know, you have a young kid too. You know, monitor it through headphones without any issues. So that's the ultimate plan here. What else can I tell you? I'll post again in the next couple months, maybe, when everything's finally patched up again. But Andrew, I would recommend like going for something like the Goliath. Personally, I think now it's pretty stable, and secondhand they were at least going for reasonably cheap. So if you could find one and expand it with a few converters, it's pretty reliable, pretty helpful, and even without a patch bay, it's essentially a virtual patch bay with all those patch points. So even then, it's pretty nice. I'm not going to edit this video or trim it down or anything. I'm not going to disable comments, and I'm sure I'm going to regret that. But I will be hopefully posting more in the future. And Andrew, I hope this was helpful for you. All right, man. I will talk to you later.